Welcome. Man, this chapter is some bull. But anyways, welcome to the Anime Podcast channel. My name is Benji, and today we'll be discussing chapter 1058 of One Piece, New Emperor. And as you can tell, I am mad. I am very upset at this chapter, dog. You wanna know why? Because this man Oda is disrespecting the GOAT. And after this chapter is a break week. Do you know how much slander I'm going to be subjected to because of this chapter? But before I break it down, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Myself and my co-host Nick, Taj, and Phil make weekly podcast episodes on all your favorite anime and manga series. And if you want to go ahead and be included on all of the slander, go ahead and join our Discord. But without further ado, let's begin. So to start, we actually start with a cover page, and it's looking like Caesar Clown may be trying to join the Germa 66 family, or at least get in contact with Judge. And this is seemingly due to Caesar Clown seemingly saving the Germa 66 family, but they haven't got out of whole cake just yet. Now, I speculated this last week, but this could very well be the reemergence of the Mads organization, which consisted of Judge, Queen, and Vagabond. Now, as far as Caesar Clown's involvement within the Mads organization, I'm not particularly 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that he does have ties to Vagabond. So, in a way, he does have ties to the Mads organization. But I do think it's okay to go ahead and surmise that he will be involved in something with scientists a little bit later on, at least with Judge and himself. Now, moving on, we actually begin the chapter with what happened last chapter, as Luffy decided to make the very unsmart choice to go ahead and take the most dangerous way out of Wano. And Nami has decided to lock Luffy up in a cage for his recklessness. And we even get a nice little interaction with Jinbei and Nami. Jinbei is basically like, go a little easy on your Captain Luffy. But Jinbei doesn't necessarily know how angry Nami can truly be. And the decision of Luffy actually trying to take the most dangerous way out of Wano could have gotten the whole entire crew killed, in essence. So basically, Nami actually scares Jinbei a little bit, and it actually is said that Jinbei believes that Nami has Conqueror's Haki. Now, obviously, I do believe that this is a gag, but I would like to see this explored a little bit more, having the original trio within East Blue all have Conqueror's Haki: Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. Now, that would be very interesting, but I'm pretty sure that Nami doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. So, there's that. But we are soon visited by a messenger bird, and he has the bounties for the Straw Hats after Wano. And this is where me and Oda have beef. So the bounties are as followed. Dr. Chopper, the cotton candy lover slash pet, has gotten a bounty of 1,000 berries. Nami, the cat burglar Nami, has 366 million berry bounty. Musical Soul King Brook has a bounty of 383 million. Frankie, the cyborg, has a bounty of 394 million. Sniper God Usopp has a bounty of 500 million, which absolutely doesn't make any sense, but I digress. Archaeologist Devil Child Nico Robin has an astounding bounty of 930 million. And then we get to the big boy bounties. And we start off with Sanji, who has finally accumulated a 1 billion bounty. It's 100 and I believe 32 million berry bounty. But then we have Jinbei with a bounty of 1.1 billion berry bounty. I'm astounded. And above that, I believe that Zoro actually has 1,000 more than that. And Oda, let me talk to you. What is this? The disrespect to the GOAT, the blue-flamed prince himself, capable of sending an ancient zoned calamity worth 1.32 billion berry bounty all the way to the sky. Come on, son. Come on. And no disrespect to Jinbei whatsoever, but let's keep it a bean. After Wano, there's no way this increase in bounty should be substantiated. There's no way. This would have made so much complete sense after his stint in Marineford. Yet, Jinbei was able to accumulate this high of a bounty after beating who's who. Who's who? Who is that nigga, man? Like, come on, man. This is really ass, though. But, you know, I digress. And Sanji is adamantly upset, and then Zoro comes in with salt on the wound. You know, I mean, hey, Zoro, maybe you need to go ahead and take a shower, my boy, because you smell bad. So basically, Jinbei asks Sanji what is wrong, and Zoro says this: forget him. Just leave number 4 to his sour grapes. Which inevitably leads to Zoro and Sanji clashing. Zoro, like I said before, maybe you should go ahead and take a shower, my boy. But I do want to clarify, I am just having a little fun. I'm not really mad at any kind of choices within the chapter, but I do find it funny that Zoro would say something. I feel like Oda, in a way, is very self-aware of the rivalry between Zoro fans and Sanji fans. And Sanji fans, I don't want you guys to be upset after this chapter. If you really think about it, Sanji still has a 1 billion berry bounty. And what this does for Sanji is actually like increases his upside a little bit later on in the story. I really do feel like Sanji's going to have a massive bounty a little bit later on. Now, one interesting thing that I did see was that Sanji is now named Blackleg Sanji. And also, we don't necessarily see pictures of the bounties. We see a little bit of Sanji's picture. It still looks like basically somebody drew him as Duval, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I believe we see Luffy's and we see maybe Chopper's. But you can barely see the print of the bounties in this chapter. And I do think that Oda was also trolling because it seems like he picked the bounties for both Zoro and Sanji depending on their birth dates, from what it seems at least. But I do find it interesting. I know Oda's gonna have himself a fun break week after this week. And for now, as a Sanji fan, I will be defending myself from any single slander that I receive over the course of these next 2 weeks. So Sanji fans, with me, let's go ahead and protect down the fort. Sanji is the GOAT. So moving on, we actually move on to the Yonko of this infamous crew, Luffy, who's still in a cage, who has accumulated a bounty of 3 billion berry bounties. And I'm not gonna lie, I do wish that Luffy's bounty was a little bit higher, but, you know, I digress. So moving on, we actually arrive to Empty Bluffs Island, the home of Buggy and his organization. And we cut to some subordinates of Buggy, and they're actually curious of why Mihawk, the strongest swordsman within the world, has any kind of business with Buggy. And unfortunately, while this is happening, Buggy is in a tight spot, and we get this panel right here. Both Crocodile and Sir Mihawk have their weapons pointed at Buggy. And as predicted, Buggy in a way has found himself in some more trouble by proclaiming himself the boss of the Cross Guild, an organization that Crocodile and Mihawk were supposed to be leaders of. And Mihawk actually says something incredibly funny. He says this: "You're probably the only person in history to become an emperor after crying for mercy. Having you die here wouldn't even begin to make up for this." And this is true. And actually later on, we actually see number 3 from the old organization that Crocodile had, and he is very happy to be back reunited with his old boss, Crocodile. And Buggy doesn't necessarily take kindness to this, basically saying that number 3 has turned on him. But a little bit later on, we actually get a little bit more background on how the Cross Guild was actually formed. So Crocodile was the one who actually proposed to Mihawk that if the two of them were able to join together, the Marines would suddenly be off of their back, and it'll be more beneficial to the both of them. Basically, the Marines were currently snooping around Mihawk's home, and Mihawk simply just wants to live in peace. And interestingly enough, Mihawk actually in this chapter was confirmed to once be known as the Marine Hunter, which I'm not gonna lie is a pretty swaggy name. Big shout out to Mihawk. And Crocodile says this very interesting comment that seems to really spark Mihawk's interest. "You and I are the same. We don't trust anyone." Now, I'm not gonna lie, this team up between Crocodile and Mihawk really sparks my interest for what is to happen a little bit later on in the story. And I do kind of want to see why Mihawk seems so interested by this comment in particular. Moving on to a separate flashback, we actually move on to Buggy actually being pursued by the Navy himself. And a particular someone seems to be helping Buggy basically by destroying Navy ships in the distance. And as a result, this person is none other than Crocodile. And Buggy's subordinates are actually oblivious to the whole situation, and they believe that Crocodile is coming to save Buggy, when in reality, Buggy owes Crocodile a major debt. And basically, Buggy is in the distance and he's completely shocked, especially looking at this panel, that Crocodile is headed towards him, especially knowing that he has no money. And I absolutely love this panel because you can see the shock in Buggy's eyes, knowing that he has absolutely no money and he's about to be pursued by Crocodile, who he says in this chapter is even worse than the Navy. But Buggy even says this after Crocodile basically proposes that maybe Buggy should be a slave for him, and he says this: "Don't say stuff like that, we're old prison buddies, remember?" Croco-chan. Crocodile isn't having it, and he basically says that he needs this money in order to start his new company, which is to be the Cross Guild. So then Buggy, in order to save his tail, actually proposes a merger between him and Crocodile. And basically, he'll provide Crocodile with all the things that he needs and be his subordinate as a warlord. And this seems to work and get Buggy out of this very tough situation, but something is a little bit astray. You see, the posters that were made for the Cross Guild seem to say that Buggy is the leader of this organization. So basically, Buggy had one of his subordinates make the poster, and what ended up happening was his subordinate wanted to make sure that Buggy looked like the coolest guy in the flyer, which is hilarious. Now, I absolutely love this, but I will say this about Buggy. You can say that he's a fraud because he is a fraud, but in any way, shape, or form, somehow, some way, he's always able to make something happen for himself. You gotta give Buggy that credit right there. But I'm very excited to see what happens to the organization from here. But we then cut to the Navy headquarters, and they are basically discussing how dangerous the Cross Guild is, especially with the Cross Guild's primary target being that of the Marines. Buggy, the former member of the Pirate King, has been able to recruit both Crocodile and Mihawk, the strongest swordsman in the world. And in addition, shady organizations have already started their financial backings of the Cross Guild. But then the Navy mentions their bounties. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. Check it out. So first off, Crocodile, who has amassed a bounty of 1,965,000,000. And then we move on to Mihawk, who has a whopping bounty of 3,590,000,000. Wow. I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect Mihawk's bounty to be that big. And with this being break week, I do think that this is gonna cause a lot of debate, in particular for two fans, the Mihawk fans and the Shanks fans. And it is even stated in this chapter by the description of the Navy that his fellow former warlord Hawkeye Mihawk has even greater sword skills than the red-haired Emperor. He's worth 3,590,000,000, a fitting title for the world's greatest swordsman. So basically in this chapter saying that Mihawk's sword skills are a little bit superior than Shanks, but I don't want you guys to get that confused. Now, I do want to say that I have to let go of the moniker Fraud Hawk, at least for a bit, especially from the description that we got from Mihawk. Now, I do want to go ahead and give my 2 cents on the matter. I know on Twitter, a lot of people were debating who's stronger, Shanks or Mihawk. Nowhere in this chapter does it say that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks. It just says his sword skills are superior to Shanks. That doesn't mean that he is stronger than Shanks. It's really truly amazing to see the One Piece fandom use the smallest words or descriptions to basically further their baseless agendas. Even yourself? Yeah, not talking about me though. Yeah. But as of right now, Shanks is still stronger than Mihawk. Nothing has changed. Now, the only thing that I would like to mention in this chapter review is that this man himself is a fucking monster. Vista, my boy Vista, is a boss. Fought with Mihawk and wasn't scared whatsoever. And in the fight was able to get the recognition of the strongest swordsman within the world, Mihawk. Now, I'm just speculating, but I don't believe that Vista's bounty is that much higher. Especially not being higher than, I believe, Marco's. But I do believe that Vista has a very substantial bounty. And I just want to let you boys know that we will be pushing the Vista agenda exponentially, my boys. We will. But the Navy later recognizes Buggy, who seems to be the progenitor of this organization, and basically he is touted with a bounty of 3,189,000,000 berries bounty, and also has been named an Emperor of the Sea, one of the 4 great emperors. We then cut back to the Cross Guild, Mihawk, Buggy, and Crocodile, and they are still upset, but Mihawk comes up with this proposition that now the primary target is on Buggy's back, and Mihawk and Crocodile can kind of move in the shadows, and Mihawk more so trying to live in peace, while the organization's main focus will all be on Buggy. So later, to conclude this Cross Guild arc, basically we have Buggy introduce Mihawk and Crocodile to the rest of the crew, and Buggy in the background will wonder what will happen to him after this. But finally, we end the chapter at Kamabaka Queendom and the Revolutionaries, and everyone seems to be rejoicing and relieved at the fact that Sanji is okay. But we cut to Dragon actually talking to Koala, and Dragon seems a little bit disgruntled at the fact that if the news is true that Sabo has truly killed Cobra, Dragon will not forgive him. We then later see Dragon stand right in front of what seems to be Kuma, and he basically asked him what did he see when he was in Marijois. And Kuma actually responds, "I am yours to command." Basically, the physical body of Kuma is still there, but his mind seems to be completely gone. And I don't necessarily know if we'll see an arc or some kind of moment within One Piece where Kuma will be able to regain his memories. But we truly end the chapter with a phone call via Denden Mushi. And while this is happening, it seems that the Navy have tapped into the phone lines to see whether or not this is the Flame Emperor himself. And nevertheless, it is Sabo. And basically he says to the revolutionaries, "It's me, Sabo." And that is the end of the chapter. And basically I rate this chapter a 2 out of 10. And you know why. You know why. No, but I'm just kidding. I really thoroughly liked this chapter, even though it did take a hit to the Sanji agenda, but I did thoroughly enjoy the chapter. But I'm still upset at Oda because this makes no damn sense, my boy. Put some respect on the GOAT's name. But in all seriousness, obviously I did enjoy the chapter. I do want to see what kind of happens with the Cross Guild and how that is going to play into the final arc of One Piece, especially with them actively hunting down Marines. And, you know, Mihawk being the Marine hunter himself. So I'm extremely excited to see how everything plays out with that. But I want to go ahead and thank everyone for going ahead and tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning into the chapter review. Please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the boys' channel. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I love you. Peace.